Good evening. You are welcome to the Baby Dash Show. We gather here every Tuesday. As you well know, we're discussing all things fertility and lifestyle and wellness. So quickly gather in your people and let us know where you're joining from. Today, I'm drinking again one of my favorite fresh juices, orange. Nothing complicated, just fresh orange. So let me know where you're joining from on the comment section. Hashtag first time if this is first time. And let me know where you're joining from. Hashtag your location. Okay, and I'll be in the comment section in a little bit to discuss with you. We've been discussing on this series, this very important series, the fail-proof fertile marriage. If you missed the previous episodes, I would strongly recommend that you click the button and below in the comment section and do catch up, because everything we're discussing today is layering on that series. And today we're wrapping up the series, the fail-proof fertile marriage. Today's topic is how to have an effective stress-reducing conversation. Often and on in our one-on-one fertility coaching programs, we give time to deal with relationship management systems, and we run some questionnaires on emotional bank accounts. The one that wins for most couples that we find in our program is reuniting at the end of the day and talking about how the day was. So, how was your day, dear? Conversation, and does also how does it help to manage stress in our everyday life? Does it make any difference? Learning to do this activity, this very simple activity, is crucial in a marriage long-term health. I have found that one of the key variables in relapse to marriage therapies is whether stress from other areas of their life is spilling into their relationship. Couples who are overrun by this stress see that marriage relapse, while those that also, those that can help each other cope with it, keep their marriages growing if they're able to deal with it. Many couples automatically have this sort of calming down conversation, this harmless, how was your day conversation, perhaps at dinner table or after the kids have fallen asleep, but often and on, this conversation, this discussion does not have the desired effect. It tends to, for most people, increase their stress level because they end up saying things that make themselves feel frustrated, with their spouses for not maybe listening to them, or whether they are the ones, venting and the other person, is offering advice. If this is the case, what I'm describing sounds familiar, you need to change your approach to this catch-up, harmless, how was your day conversation, to make sure that, they give you that calm feeling that it is supposed to. For starters, think about the timing of these chats. Some people want to, unburden themselves when they are barely through the door. But for others, they need to decompress on their own for a while, before they are ready to interact and talk about their day and who made them angry at the day or something. So wait until both of you want to talk. Don't just start the conversation at the door when he's barely in, or when he has not removed his stockings and his shoes. On a typical day, wait 20 to 30 minutes on this conversation. The cardinal rule that I often recommend is that you talk about whatever is on your mind, outside of your marriage. This is not the time to discuss previous conflicts or what happened in the morning and how you vexed me in the morning, or underlying conflicts between you. It is an opportunity to support each other emotionally concerning other areas of your life. So this chat up exercise takes active listening. It's that classic technique. Active listening is that classic technique of standard marital therapies. You hear it a lot of people have gone to marital therapy, and it stands, on its head in this topic. So the goal of active listening is to hear your spouse's perspective with empathy. Listen without judgment. I know this is difficult, without judgment. That's all well and good. But the approach usually fails because couples are asked to use it when they are airing their gripes about each other. And this is difficult to do, and often about, painless, as painless as an audit. So it's virtually impossible not to feel frightened or not to feel hurt or mad when your spouse is, blasting you and speaking ill about you. But I have found that this same listening technique can be extremely beneficial if you use it during discussion. Listen, where you and your spouse are not the target of the conversation. So in this context, you will feel more freer to be readily, supportive and understanding of your spouse, and vice versa. So this can only heighten the love and the trust both of you feel. And here are some detailed instructions on how to have this stress-relieving "how was your day" conversation. 1, take turns. Each partner gets to be the complainer and the venter for at least 15 minutes. Step 2, don't give unsolicited advice. If you quickly suggest a solution to your spouse's dilemma, he or she is likely to feel that you are trivializing or you are dismissing the problem, which could backfire. So in effect, you're saying, this is not such a big deal. Why don't you just do this? So the cardinal rule when helping your spouse to distress is that, you understand, understanding first must be ahead of advice. Don't be too quick to render unsolicited advice. You have to let your partner vent, know that you fully understand. Let your partner needs to know that you fully understand and you empathize. Empathy is very critical with the dilemma that he or she faced during the day before you suggest a solution. Oftentimes, your spouse is not asking you to come to their rescue with a solution, just to be a good listener and offer a ready shoulder to cry on. And this is oftentimes for women. I have found a significant gender difference when it comes to, this rule. Women are more sensitive to advice giving than are men. In other words, when a wife tells the husband, her troubles, she usually, reacts very negatively if he tries to give her advice right away instead of, trying to do the opposite. So she wants to hear that he understands and that he feels compassionate. He empathizes with what she went through. Men are far more tolerant of immediate attempts to problem solving. So a wife can probably get away with some gentle words of wisdom, yeah? Still, a man who emotes to his wife about his work troubles, what he went through at work and all that, and how this boss is so overbearing, will probably prefer that she offers him sympathy instead of a solution. In some workshops that we had in our fertility coaching program, when I tell couples that their role is not to solve each other's problem, but to offer support, their relief is almost palpable. I'm telling you, it's always resounding. Because men especially get caught up in the thinking that when, the wife is venting or she's angry or she's upset, the men often think that their role is to take care of the problem. So he's listening to think, where is the problem? I want to solve it. The huge burden is, lifted once they realize that it is not their responsibility. And it's usually the opposite of what their wives want. It seems almost, too good to be true, but you can, end some point by not trying to solve the partner's problems immediately. But that is the ease, yeah? So the third point is to show genuine interest in the conversation. Don't let your mind wander away or your eyes wander away. Stay focused on your spouse, ask questions, make eye contact, do some, really, and so on, yeah? Point number 4, communicate your understanding. Let your spouse know that you empathize, okay? What the nonsense? What kind of nonsense is that? How would they let you stress her like that? Vent with her, curse them out with her. That's probably what she just wants, okay? Oh, I'm so sorry you feel this way and all that. Those are the signals that she wants to get. 5th point, take your spouse's side. Okay? If you think his or her perspective is unreasonable, don't side with the opposition. This will make your spouse lose it. Or dejected or resentful. If your wife boss is probably chewing her down at work for for being 5 minutes late, don't say, oh well, you're always late. You'll be doing your makeup. That's why you ran late and all that. He was right. Well, you shouldn't have been late. If you didn't want to be no, you say that's so unfair. The point isn't to be dishonest. Don't get me wrong. It's just that timing is everything. There will be a time where you can tell her that. Okay? When your partner comes to you for emotional support, instead of giving advice, your job at that time is not to cast moral judgment or to tell him or her what to do. The point is to be on her side and empathize. Tip number 6, express a we against the world attitude. If your spouse is feeling all alone in facing some difficulties, express solidarity. Okay? Do a luta. Let him or her know that the two of you are in this thing together and you're to win. That's why I always say that fertility is a team sport. It's you against infertility, yeah? Number 7, express affection. Hold her, wrap your arms around him or her, say I love you and all that. Tip number 6, validate emotions. Let your spouse know that his or her emotion makes sense to you. Okay, phrases that can do this include, oh yeah, that's really sad. That would, if it was me, I would have felt that way too. I can see why you did this, and all that. These are all validations, yeah. And there are 2 brief examples of a stress-reducing conversation to give you an idea of what to do and what not to do. These are some tips that can help. So these are the things that you shouldn't do. Don't find yourself doing them. Let's use an example of, let's say Hank, that's the name of a guy. He will say, I had a very terrible meeting with my boss today. The boss is a female. She keeps, challenging my knowledge, and she goes to the boss telling her boss that she doubts her, my competence. I hate her already and all that. One day, the wife should say, I think this is another example of you overreacting. Okay? Why would you be talking about your boss like that? She is criticizing. Remember the things that we spoke about last 2 weeks, right? Criticism. And I've met your boss. She's really quite constructive and very responsible. Maybe you're the one that is being sensitive to her concerns and you're overreacting and all that. The husband will say, the woman is out to get me, as in she's so on my case. And the wife will say, that's you're paranoid. You're the person that is overreacting. You have to try to understand and control that. She's still criticizing. The man will say, okay, forget it. So and say, I had another meeting with, my boss, and she keeps, challenging my knowledge. She keeps, talking ill about me and all that, or she doesn't, validate my contributions and all that. On the other hand, if the wife says, I can't believe that woman, what does she mean? She's so mean, she's so, you can even say she's such a terrible gossip, is we against the opposition. Okay? So when she said, what did you say? What does that mean? You're showing genuine interest in the conversation. And the husband will say, I told her that she has to, get off my hair and she's not, going to succeed, and all that. And the wife will say, she can make anyone really, I met that, but she really can get on someone's nerves. I'm so sorry she made you feel that way. I'm so sorry, Jerry, and all that. Don't worry. I would like, if it was me, I would like to even get even. Okay. And that's we against the world. Okay, so you're not just ignoring or belittling that. Okay, you just ignore her. Don't mind her. She's not, and all that. You are validating the emotion that he's bringing to play. Okay, so your boss knows what she's like. Everyone does and all that. So the husband could say, that's true. She doesn't show, clear opinions of what the effort that he's putting in and all that, And the wife could be like, yes, that's bound to backfire. Since she's doing it to everyone, very soon it will backfire. I'm so sorry. This is really stressing you out and all that. So this is how to turn a simple how was your day conversation, and how easily you can see from the previous analogy that I gave, how easily it is to have swapped it the other way and it would have resulted to a very big fight. Okay, so also these are some scenarios of how to also show support during your spouse's whining session. Okay, maybe your wife's sister yelled at her for not repaying her money and that she loaned her a long time ago, and your wife is infuriated and hurt by the sister's attitude, and she does owe her sister money actually. You could say, I'm sorry she made you really feel this way, hot and, angry and all that. Your husband, maybe got a speeding ticket or tried to overtake you, when you're in the car, and all that. It was a speed trap, It could be, oh, maybe there was no one way sign and he got caught up, and you could empathize. Oh, this could have happened to anyone. And this is what I find a lot of times when the wives are in the vehicle. You are fighting the road traffic and every other person against your husband who is driving you. Okay, or your wife could be late or something, and you keep like, anybody, this can happen to anybody. Or she can say, oh, I'm so stupid for making this happen. I'm so sorry. I had to put us on this. No, you are not stupid. It could have happened to anyone. You are siding him at that point, him or her, depends on who is venting, yeah? At that point is you against the world. Okay, you against the boss, you against the traffic warden, or whatever he or she is whining about at that point. Okay, so no one knows you better than your spouse. Sometimes advice may just be what you're looking for. Okay, the best strategy is to talk about what each of you have been through, or what you're feeling, validating your feelings at that moment. If your spouse, for example, is ranting about maybe a promotion he didn't get, or a lost opportunity, maybe a contract, you can say something like, oh, you're obviously really upset about this. How can I help? Do you need me to just listen, or do you want me to help you brainstorm on what to do next? You can offer such, so that he or she will be the one to opt and say, okay, I want solution. Yeah. So if you have this sort of conversation every day, it can't help but benefit your marriage. Trust me. You will come away with the conviction that your partner is on your side. And that is one foundation of a long-lasting friendship and a happy marriage. Because once your marriage gets set off on a very positive level, or even if you have been on the wrong tail, it is still this kind of conversations that can bring everybody on the same page. It will be harder to knock off a conversation like this that happens almost every day in a marriage. It will even be harder to make it because the communication is there. So as beneficial as turning towards each other can be, it can feel hurtful and rejecting when your spouse does the opposite. So oftentimes, couples turn away from each other, when they, out of malice, not out of malice, yeah, but out of mindlessness. They are not paying attention. They get distracted, they start talking each other, taking each other for granted, But when you realize the importance of the little moments, paying more attention to those little moments is enough to solve problems in many cases. And this is often what I see in our fertility coaching programs. But sometimes there are deeper reasons why couples keep missing each other. For example, let's say when one partner rebuffs the other, it could be a sign of hostility or some underlying conflicts. But I have found that when one spouse regularly feels the other, feels like the other person does not connect enough, oftentimes the cause is a disparity between their respective needs for either intimacy or for independence. I have found that marriage is something of a dance. I often say that there are times when you feel drawn to your loved one, and there are times when you feel, I just need a break, I need my me time. Yeah? So it's also a time to replenish your own sense of autonomy, your me time. So there is a wide spectrum of normal needs, what people call normal needs in this area. Some people have their greater and more frequent need for connection. Others have more frequent need for independence. A marriage can work even if people fail on opposite sides of this spectrum, as long as they are able to understand the reason for their feelings and respect their differences. If they don't, however, hurtful feelings are, likely to develop. So if you feel like your spouse, gives you the cold shoulder, in little ways throughout the day, or if your spouse concept of closeness feels more like it's choking you, it's suffocation to you, the best thing you can do, for your marriage is to talk it out. Talk it out. A marriage that is talking has more hope than one that is not. looking at these moments, together, we give you greater insight into each other and help you, to both learn how to give each other what you need. And this is, what is very, very critical. So this is where we are going to be wrapping up this series. We have been on it for over 4 weeks. And if you missed any session, please click the link on the comment section to do catch up. And we are going to be in the comment section to answer your questions and know what you think about the value you have gained today. If you have questions, I'll be in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about what you have learned today.